Welcome to another episode of On the Couch with McNeill Real Estate. My name is Janet, and today I am very happy to welcome Sarah from Liberty Financial, specialising in mortgage broking services. So welcome,
Thank
Sarah.
you. Looking forward to chatting with you.
So are we. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
So I have been living on the Mornington Peninsula pretty well much all of my life. I have 4 children, and I am currently a mortgage broker, but I also have a commercial cleaning business as well.
Okay, fantastic.
So I've been self-employed for 21 years,
Yes.
basically since I had my children. So when I first had my first daughter, I started doing a business as a virtual assistant. I sort of fell into that because my daughter wasn't well. She had to have open heart surgery when she was a baby. So I started working from home. And yeah, over the years I've moved from being a VA to running a commercial cleaning business, and now moving into finance broking, which is something I absolutely love.
Okay, fantastic. And you do this with your partner?
Yes. Yes, I do, although we run our own separate businesses.
Right,
But yes, my partner has been a mortgage broker for 13 years.
Okay.
And I'm into my 4th year.
Well done.
Which is fantastic. And he said to me about 5 years ago, you should do what I'm doing because you'd be great at it. I like
and
people,
he was right.
And he's right. I love people. I love finding out people's stories, and it's pretty well much just problem solving.
Yes, that's true.
As you would know with your business as well, it's about finding solutions for people.
Yes.
And it's you can be a little bit creative at times, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No,
it's about thinking outside the
square.
box. Yeah.
That's right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So so I love it.
No, that's brilliant. So what do you love most about the peninsula?
Wow, that's a big question. I love it because it's my home. I love it because it's near the beach. I love the way people are on the Mornington Peninsula. And I remember when I was younger and I couldn't wait to go overseas.
Really?
Everybody did, and I mean, I was born in the UK, and so we were brought up with this sense of history, and my mum's always gone back to England every couple of years to see family. So I kind of was born with itchy feet.
Yes.
And as soon as I could, I went over to the UK and lived for a couple of years.
Oh, fantastic.
And, travelled all over Europe.
Travelling to Europe's easy when you're in England.
So I went around Europe a couple of times, and I didn't really appreciate the peninsula until I came home. And I was working for my dad, and as you would remember, my dad owned the Arthur Seat chairlift for many, many years.
Yes.
And I was working in the booth at the top, looking out on this beautiful, beautiful bay on this beautiful sunny day, and I just thought, why do we leave? Why do we travel? But I still have that yearning to travel.
I think you travel so that you can appreciate home more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the peninsula has this beautiful bay. It has these magnificent national parks and beautiful walking trails, and the people are just different, I think, down on the peninsula. We kind of behave like we're in the country.
Yes, that's true.
But we're close enough.
Because we sort of still are in the country, because we've got all the country areas, but we're an hour from the city.
Yes.
So we've got the best of everything.
We absolutely have, yes.
So how long have you, you said 4 years in Liberty Finance, so what, tell me sort of what is a mortgage broker and why would someone go to you rather than a major bank?
Okay, so a mortgage broker is someone who works with lenders and works with customers. So we're kind of like an intermediary.
Yes.
So banks don't generally deal with the end customer directly. If you look at people like banks like Bank West or MyState, Heritage, all of those types of banks that don't always have branches.
Yes.
They don't deal with the end customer, but they are equally as good in the mortgage space as the Big Four. In fact, they're probably better because they have different products and they generally have a lot of great customer service too.
Okay.
So we've grown up traditionally thinking that we need to go into a branch and see a branch manager.
Yes.
Things have changed a lot because branch managers don't always necessarily deal with
the customer.
And they don't always deal with mortgages anymore. So brokers feel this really important space where they can access a whole range of different products from a whole range of different lenders.
Yep.
Whereas you might think, okay, I bank with XYZ Bank and I'll go into there and I'll sit down and I'll say, this is my situation, can I have some money?
Yep.
And they'll say, no, you don't qualify for our loans.
You don't fit in
You
the
don't
little
fit
hole.
in that hole.
Yep.
So we as mortgage brokers have access to, say, 20 or 30 different lenders, and which means there's hundreds and hundreds of products that we can access.
Yep.
So when we sit down with our customer and we find out a little bit about them, we are able to look up on our computer program and find out which policy of which bank fits their requirements and fits their situation.
Okay.
So that's what a mortgage broker does.
Yes. Okay. No, that's interesting because I guess not everyone sort of knows what a mortgage broker is, and in some cases they might think, oh, well, you know, the mortgage broker is only out to earn money and not necessarily get a client the best deal, or you're only working with certain lenders, therefore you're only going to, you know, recommend certain lenders for them, but it might not be the best. So how do you sort of deal with that question?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right, and I guess it's similar to, I think, in the real estate space, in that, you know, there is this negative connotation around our industries.
Yes.
And you and I are breaking that mould. We're breaking those perceptions by focusing on customer service and customer experience. And that's really important to me. It's really important to me to show my customer that I'm not working for myself, I'm working for them.
Yes.
And yeah, the fact we get paid is obviously
well, it
the
puts food
aim.
on our table,
But really, I don't think about how much money I'm going to make. I think about how can I get this person the loan that they need and into their home, or out of the pickle that they've got themselves into, or buying their investment property, or you know, SMSF funding and things like that. We look at how we can help people, and that's really what's important to me. It's not about the dollar. It's about good customer experience, so that they come away from it feeling like they've been serviced well, and that we like to build relationships, develop relationships that we're going to have for life.
For life,
so that they'll come back to us, and you know, and we can help them buy their second property or their third property, or you know, they've got friends that we can help. So one of the things that we do find a little bit challenging is the fact that we're branded Liberty.
Yes.
And so we have to explain to them, the customer, that it's a bit like being branded an Aussie broker or a Rams broker or something like that. Those names don't really mean anything to people. They're just a name of a broker. Like, because we're branded Liberty doesn't mean we only offer Liberty loans. It's just a platform of an organisation that we work through. That supports us
as well.
Exactly.
It provides all the software for you to be able to access.
And the technical, the technical support. They provide us with marketing support and you know, their wealth of experience in dealing with lending as well. Training, you know, all those sorts of things.
That's fantastic. You mentioned just before we sort of sat down about the Royal Commission. How has that affected mortgage brokers?
Yeah, well, that was really scary actually at the time, because there was a lot of, particularly when they first released the Royal Commission, because they spoke about, despite the fact that the banks were in the firing line, they came out of the Royal Commission with no penalties at all. And it really was the mortgage brokers that copped all of the negativity. However, what has happened subsequent to that is that the Royal Commission findings have kind of been knocked on the head. Like, they came out initially and said that mortgage brokers shouldn't get trail commission, and they should do a fee for service, a bit like the financial services industry as far as providing financial planning advice and things like that. And the associations went into fight. There's two associations that work for mortgage brokers, the FBAA and the MFAA, and they went into fight for mortgage brokers, and they said that they wouldn't support either of those things. And then the federal government also said if they won, the Liberals said that if they won, that they wouldn't support the findings either. So that sort of turned it all on its head. And what it has meant that since the election, there's a lot more stability in the industry.
Yes,
Definitely
good.
stability,
Yep.
and also definite stability as far as purchasing homes
Yes.
has gone. I mean, I'm sure you would have seen that change as well, that it went really cold and
Yes.
flat for about 3 months,
Yes.
and everyone's going, oh my goodness, we're never going to get any work.
That's right.
But
yep.
yeah, it's sort of gone gangbusters
Yes.
now
Yep.
since the findings of the election and everything like that. It's come good, thankfully.
Yep. Oh, that's good.
Thankfully for everybody. Yeah,
That's
And I think
brilliant.
it'll get better too after January, when hopefully the new federal government initiative to pay or to underwrite the lender's mortgage insurance comes in for first homeowners.
Right.
There'll be a
that's
little bit more of interest,
Right.
I think, for first home buyers out there.
Brilliant. Well, that's good news.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
We always want to see our first home buyers buy their first home, because it's so
absolutely.
exciting. The look on their face, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, definitely.
So, what do you suggest people look for when they're choosing a mortgage broker?
So I think finding a mortgage broker that they feel comfortable with is really important, because you are entrusting them with your most treasured goals and desires, and you're having to share all of your personal information with them, your financial information and your personal information. And every mortgage broker basically does the same thing.
Yes.
So developing a relationship with somebody is really important. So I would say to anybody who is looking to buy a home is to look for recommendations from friends.
Yes.
And have a face-to-face meeting with a mortgage broker, and ask them some questions about their experience and what sort of information they collect, and what sort of different lenders that they work with.
Yeah.
And I think you'll get a sense straight away of whether you like that person and whether you can work with them.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
That's a good tip. Very good tip. Yeah. So, how does your service actually help people buy and sell property?
So we can work with people like yourself as far as if you have a potential buyer.
Yes.
And you're not sure whether they're going to be able to purchase the property or not, they don't know what their borrowing capacity is.
Yep.
Then we can actually work with you and the borrower to actually find out what their borrowing capacity is straight away. So they can do that. We can also work with them to get them pre-approval.
Okay.
So pre-approval with a bank.
Yep.
Normally means that if you walk into a branch and say, can I have pre-approval for a home loan, they'll often just say, yes, you're a bank customer, yes, your numbers look okay, yes, we'll give you pre-approval. When we do a pre-approval, it's actually more like a conditional approval.
Okay.
We actually get the bank to do a full assessment.
Yep.
So when you go shopping for a house, you've actually already got conditional approval subject to generally the valuation on the property.
Okay.
So we can work with borrowers that way, buyers that way. With vendors, it's a bit different, I suppose. We're possibly working with them on filling the gap with a loan if they've already purchased another property.
Yes.
So we can do bridging finance.
Okay. Yes.
We
Bridging finance. Does that cost any more? Is it more expensive to get a bridging loan than an ordinary home loan?
Not necessarily.
Great.
What it means is that with bridging finance, you're paying for another loan while you're waiting for the other one to sell.
Yep.
But you can get that bridging finance so that you can actually get the property that you want to buy sorted until you sell the other one.
Yep. So basically you can buy and settle and move into that property while you're still selling the house that you're living in.
Yes.
It just means you've potentially got 2 mortgages to pay.
Correct, yes.
Right.
And it might be interest only on one of them that you're paying.
Okay.
So you're not paying the principal off because you don't need to, because when you sell your own home,
that's going to clear it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's ways of doing it that way. So you can either do you can either go get your finance sorted before you go shopping.
Yes.
Or you can do it the stressful way.
Yeah, just go shopping first.
Go shopping first and then go, okay, I bought this house now. Do I qualify for finance?
Can I actually buy it?
And you know what that's like.
Yeah.
Everybody gets stressed. The buyer, the borrower, and the real estate agent and the mortgage broker.
Everyone.
That's quite a stressful
It's
way.
a little bit like in real estate when you talk to a client and they say, well, should I buy before I sell or sell before I buy? The chicken or the egg. With finance, it's probably best to know what you can borrow before you go shopping.
Yes.
Because then you know, am I buying a $500,000 house or $1 million house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just takes the stress out of everything.
It does.
Absolutely.
No,
but most people are too impatient and they do it the other way around. And the way things have changed because of what happened with the Royal Commission, lenders are taking longer to give approval.
True. Yes.
Because they're asking for more documentation.
Okay.
And because there's been a lot more people borrowing as well, it sometimes takes them a lot longer to pick up their files because there's only X numbers of people assessing the loans. And if they've got an influx of borrowers, it can take weeks for them to pick up a file. For example, earlier this year, my partner was doing a loan and he put it with the ANZ Bank and it took them 21 days to pick up the file because of their volume of loans that they were dealing with. And so that means if you've got a 14-day finance clause, it's really stressful. You just can't do it. I mean, most lenders aren't like that, but you know, it does go in waves.
It can happen.
If a lender puts out a special rate on something, all of a sudden all the brokers put the loans to that lender, and it does create some issues with their workflow.
So in that situation, when there's a 14-day clause in the contract, I know from a real estate perspective, we keep in touch with the buyer and say, look, how's everything going? If they've got a broker and they're happy to talk to us, we keep in touch. So if it looks like there needs to be an extension, we all kind of know, and then we can let the vendor know that it's not a scary thing, it's just a process, it's going to be approved, but we just can't go unconditional yet. So then they apply for an extension, so a week or 2 weeks or what have you.
Yeah, that's just the way it's gone. You know, unfortunately for vendors and real estate agents, you know, it has created some issues in that area. But, you know, that's just the way it's happened, that we have to, you know, in an ideal world, we'd like to have a 30-day finance clause, but that's difficult because it takes the property off the market.
That's right.
But you know, it can actually take that long. You know, Mark and I work really closely together, and we work really carefully with the borrower to make sure that whatever file we're putting up to the lender is really, really good.
Yes. So there's no questions once you've
we make sure we put all of the documentation up really well so that there isn't a lot of toing and froing between the lender and us asking for more information. And that has improved our level of service, which is really good too.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Oh, that's good to know. It's a minefield, this lending. It really is.
It is.
So, Sarah, how can people access your services and how do they find you?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook. It's a Sarah Hudson Liberty, or on the Liberty website. You can find me under advisors. Or you can just ring me.
How about that? Just pick up the phone
and ring me. And I usually answer it pretty quickly. So I'm sure we can put my details up.
Tell me your phone number.
My number is 0412 584 557, and my email address is shudson@libertynetwork.com.au. But yeah, you know, I'm happy just to sit down and have a chat with anybody, and they don't have to be looking right now. They can just be wondering what their borrowing capacity is, and you know, we sit down a lot with people and put together a 12-month plan.
Okay, because that was actually another question. I was thinking, well, like, when do you need a mortgage broker? Is it when you're about to buy, or can it be
anytime
in advance?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, especially with first homies, you know, they don't know how much they can borrow, where to look, the whole process. We're happy to sit down and just have a conversation and just say, okay, you know, you might have $10,000 now. Really, it'd be great if you could get to 30 or 40 or whatever it is. So we sit down and work a plan. Or people with debts that they need to consolidate. Again, let's look at, why don't you pay off this credit card first?
Yes.
You know, pay off this credit card and
Yes.
reduce that, and let's do this, and
Yep.
let's people who have a mark on their credit file.
Yep.
You know, it's coming off your file in a year. Let's wait till it comes off, and then we'll
Okay.
apply. We can still apply for loans
Yep.
with bad credit,
Yes.
but the result is a higher interest rate generally.
Okay. So it's better.
So sometimes it's better if you can wait.
Yep.
Um,
So
this
how does someone know whether they've got a good or bad credit rating?
So we can do credit checks. We have viewer only access. So when we go in and look, it doesn't put a spot on the credit file,
right.
as opposed to if you go and put a loan application in,
Yes,
you will
it's counted,
automatically be noted on the credit file.
Right.
And some lenders won't lend to you if you've got multiple
Multiples, yeah.
in a very short space of time.
Yep.
So what we tend to do when people come to us and want to talk about taking out a loan, that we say, you know, would you mind if we did a credit check on you? We have a form that they fill in, just giving us permission. We
Yep.
go in there, we have a look at it.
Yep.
We don't provide that information back to
Okay.
the, we can't give you a copy of a credit
Right.
file, but we can view it and see what's on there and say, okay, let's look at it this way. We also know which lenders will loan to people who have a spot on their credit
Okay.
file.
Yep.
And yeah, so it's another thing about sitting down with a broker and saying, you know, how do we best look at your situation?
Yep.
If people want a copy of their own credit file, you can do that. There's a website, I think it's just called creditcheck.com.au.
Yep.
And I think once a year you're allowed to get a copy for free.
Free. Yeah, brilliant.
So that's a really good thing to do, especially
it's
if
not
you...
a bad idea to look up.
Yeah, especially, you know, if you've left a relationship or something and you're not sure whether your partner's paid the bills and they're in your name. You know, we have a few things like that happen. It's quite a good idea to just check and see whether there's anything sitting there.
Yep. Okay. It's another great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, Sarah, what do you do when you're not working?
Travel. Yeah, I'd love to say I do that all the time, but yes, I love to walk.
Yep.
I love being in the garden. I've just taken up golf.
Have you now?
Yeah, which is great. I'm really
Well, we've
enjoying
got a few
that.
courses down here, so
Yes, I'm not really at that level yet,
Yep.
but I found a couple of nice little 9-hole golf courses that I could go and play at.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've got my 4 children, so we do a
keeps
lot
you
of
busy.
a lot of family stuff too, which is great.
Yep. No, that's brilliant. That's terrific. Well, thank you for all the tips you've given us. It's been great chatting with you. So
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. That concludes another episode of On the Couch with McNeill Real Estate. Thanks for watching.